Basically, it just started with nothing. I was living in my uncle's apartment and sleeping on the floor, started all over again in life. I had some health issues and basically started life all over again. Worked a couple of dead-end jobs and found a landscaping company.
With ProfitDig. We're here tonight with Jerry and Chris and Jeff Givens, and then we got Joe and Abraham here from Bloom Landscaping. And again, before we get started, don't forget to like our videos, share our videos, give us any kind of recognition that you can possibly give. We appreciate it. Abraham, so tell us a little bit about the background of Bloom. How did it get started and what's your history?
Basically, it just started with nothing. I was living in my uncle's apartment and sleeping on the floor, started all over again in life. I had some health issues and basically started life all over again. Worked a couple of dead-end jobs and found a landscaping company. Worked over there as a driver for a few months and realized, you know what, I could do this better than they can. Went out on my own, and sure enough, I did it worse than they did. You know? I knew nothing about landscaping. I knew where to buy the plants and I knew how to pick up the machines. Other than that, I knew nothing.
What's a holly? What?
I thought a tree was a tree and nothing else. I didn't know they had names. I didn't know what a deciduous tree was or what an evergreen tree was.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't know what plants were. I thought it was just something that looked nice and that's it. I didn't know they had names or anything like that. And all of a sudden, little by little, I started learning, started throwing some Craigslist ads, and next thing you know, I've got 3 crews running around, trucks, skid steers, excavators, and 4 years later, I'm just got 8 people working for me. So it's pretty fantastic.
Well, and that's the kind of stories we're looking for. You know, we're looking, and that's what ProfitDig was founded on. We was founded to help people like you, you know, and you and Joe, people that started from nothing, that could not afford these high dollar applications, you know, to run their business on. So we tried to make something that was affordable. But anyway, enough about ProfitDig. But going back to you, you said that you started from nothing. All right, so from nothing to where you're at now, how long did that take?
3 years, about
That's pretty impressive.
$700,000 in equipment, all paid for, no debt. And
that's even more impressive.
Yeah.
Literally, we're running at about close to $1.1 million this year, maybe 45% margins, which is fantastic.
Yes, that's awesome.
You know? But knock on wood, we're in a very fortunate economy. You know,
Yeah.
it's really hot out here because I could take you to some other places where we'd just be looking at minimum wage if we're lucky.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that, you know, I know there's other places in the U.S., you know, that are not as progressive as what we are here in like Middle Tennessee and some of these other areas. You know, it's kind of sporadic, you know, as far as what growth is going on in the U.S. right now. But in your market, from just last year to this year, I mean, I know we just come through a pandemic and possibly going into another pandemic. You know, how much work increase have you seen in Middle Tennessee in just the last year?
So if we go back to the beginning, first year it was just me and one worker, and we basically about $250,000 in revenue. Didn't make any money that year.
Yeah.
Paid everything into rental fees and just making mistakes.
Another question. I got to go ahead.
Second year, about the same thing. We moved up to $550,000, 2-3 employees, and you know I might have scratched by $50,000, just enough to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Third year after COVID, that was a home run because we did about $750,000 that year. We're running about close to about 55% margins, which was incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it's just, I believe, is because of COVID. A lot of older business owners, they just wanted to slow down and stop everything, and it just left the floodgates wide open. So we took advantage of everything that we could, and we went and hustled. Now, don't get me wrong, it didn't come easy. 7 days a week, sometimes I'm up until 2-3 o'clock in the morning writing estimates, doing invoices, and back up at 6 o'clock in the morning running with the crews and helping them manage and showing them what to do and where to go and all of that stuff. So it was a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices, but I think we've made it to where we can just relax a little bit and just keep going the way we want to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, congratulations to you.
Yeah, thank you. This year we're probably looking at 1.1. The margins went down a little bit because we got more crews to manage and more managers. But the bigger you are, from what the research that I've done, margins keep going down the more crews you have, because it's just a bigger operation. Now the revenues go up dramatically, but the margins go down because if you're in the truck with the crew all day, they're going to bust their butts because the owner's there with them, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if the owner's outside in the office or out doing estimates, the crews can slow down a little bit, you know.
Have you considered cloning yourself and putting?
I tried that machine, but the version it came out with looks better than me. I got jealous, so I knocked that off. You know, that did not work out at all.
All right, going back to where, and I'm gonna get to Joe here just in a minute, but going back to where he's talking about, you know, rental fees. You know, in my experience, and I've told people about this before, you know, like if you're going to rent short term, yes, renting is a good thing. If you're starting out, renting is a good thing, because you don't want to go in over your head. You know, rental equipment. If you turn it upside down, you can turn rental equipment in. You know, like if you're purchasing equipment, you know, you're on the line, you know, to pay for this equipment if the economy tanks. But it is a lot cheaper if you purchase that equipment versus having rental equipment. It's about 25% cheaper.
A million times.
Yeah.
You not only have to consider that, you're always stressed on trying to return that equipment back within a certain period of time, because then you're thinking about the margins.
Right.
Not only that, what if that piece of machine breaks down?
Right.
What if the customer changes the order and you have to keep the machine for a little bit longer? You're always on that pressure, that stress.
Right.
So to me, as soon as I made a little money, I realized, okay, what have I spent the most last year on? What machine did I rent the most at? And basically, it was probably a skid steer, a mini skid steer.
Yeah.
And basically, I went out and bought that mini skid steer. I didn't have credit, you know, because I don't have bad credit. I just have no credit. I was always taught to pay cash for everything and not to get into debt. So I had no credit. But luckily enough, I went around to different manufacturers and the dealers, and I said, listen, this is my situation. Business is growing. Do you guys want to help me out? And one of the companies said, yeah, we'll help you out. We'll loan you this amount and just, you know, we'll use it as a rental. If you paid off with this amount within this certain period of time, you can have the machine.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
So
my very first
deal?
my very first wood chipper I paid it off within 12 months, and it was a $100,000 piece of machine.
You got a Vermeer?
Now, Vermeer wood chipper, 15-inch. Now, luckily enough, there was 2 vortexes that went through town, and within 2 weeks of buying that machine, I paid that machine off.
Yeah.
Within 2 weeks, because trees were falling on people's driveways or people's houses, and they were paying $10,000 a day just to get that tree off of their house.
Yeah.
So the price wasn't an issue. It's just, can you get to it right now?
Yeah.
You know, when a tornado comes through or when a vortex comes through.
Which unfortunately there was a bit of frequency.
You had some bad couple years with some storms, man.
So basically, I started off in landscaping, and I moved into. Whenever I'd go to a person's house and I'd do an estimate for landscaping, they'd always ask me, "Hey, can you cut this tree down?" And I knew nothing about cutting trees down, but I knew some friends that had the business of cutting trees down, and I'd give them an estimate. I'd ask a friend, "Hey, how much would you do this for?" And we'd work out something to where I get a little commission off of it.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I've got 3 tree companies. I've got a landscaping company, a drainage company, because almost every house out here has some kind of drainage problem outside. You're stepping into a puddle of mud, and people just don't know how to get rid of that. Just watch some YouTube videos on the French Drain Man or Apple's Drains, and basically learned as best as I could, and just went out there and just started practicing, and until I got it down really good. And my number one business now is outdoor drainage. People will pay whatever you ask them to pay.
You make that problem go away.
Exactly. To stop the water from coming into their house, or to stop the water from puddling in a certain area. They will pay whatever you want them to pay, and that's the main margin business right there.
Talking about drainage, so they all do like curtain drains, French drains, stuff of that sort.
Exactly. One of my business is called French Drains of Tennessee. So whenever I would find this niche, I would just create a new business under Google My Business and basically get some customers to make some reviews, and next thing you know, it comes to a full-flown business to where it's a separate entity. To where, like I said, the drainage business does about $500,000 a year. The tree business does about $400,000 or $500,000 a year, and then the landscaping does a few $100,000 a year.
Yeah, that's great.
So
that's great.
We moved away from landscaping. We found our own niche, which it's very competitive. Landscaping, mowing, and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Highly competitive, because how are you going to compete with a guy with a pickup truck who doesn't pay insurance or workers'
Yeah.
comp or
Yeah.
things like that.
Cut
How are
you
you
off
going to
for
beat them on
$30
price where
That's
the
it.
customer
I'm
just
going in and
goes
out.
after price?
Yeah.
But if you find your niche, which is tree service or drainage, you can make a killing. Don't get me-
Any type of specialty you can get into, that's where you're going to make
Find
your money.
that niche. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, to this day, I own 3 tree companies. I don't know how to cut a tree down, but I've got people that do that.
Yeah.
My specialty is marketing, management,
Yeah.
operations, things like that.
Yeah, that's important, for an owner is to find out what you are comfortable with, what you can do inside your wheelhouse. And to me, that is like the success of your company. If you know you can do something and know you have different avenues, market those avenues.
Exactly.
And then when you market those avenues, then you have confidence to know that you can do these products. You can install these products. You can give a customer something they're proud of and don't mind spending money to do it. So that's key, is being able to know what you can do and how you can do it. So you're on the right track, buddy. I mean, you're doing good, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah, but a lot of hard work. It doesn't come
Yeah.
easy
No,
if you
no.
want to make it in this world.
No, that's
you know?
right.
And of course, I can lay back and say, hey, the business runs itself. I don't need to do anything else. But what else would I do all day long? You know what I mean? I'd get bored really easily trying to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
But it's the motivation, it's the drive. It's also, to me, the most important thing is, like I was telling Joe, is to help people succeed. You know what I
Right.
mean? What's the point of life if you can't mentor people or help people succeed in life?
Yes.
You
It's
know?
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So now we're going to switch gears here a little bit and we'll get over to Joe. So Joe, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're with Abraham now, so but give us a little bit of your background, how you got to this point.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, it just kind of fell in my lap. It was more like a 3-step process throughout my life and my career now. And I started out in college, going to college, and realized that I wasn't really much of a college student, a little too much party and whatnot. But so then I dropped out, honestly, and
That hasn't stopped.
And
But you wake up every day with the same mission of making money.
oh my gosh, I was
So, yeah.
money hungry, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And but yeah, I joined the Army National Guard, which is part time. And then so after I got back from boot camp and basic training and AIT training, I came back home. I was 19 at the time, and I was like, man, what do I do now? Like, I had a buddy of mine said, hey, there's this company that's looking for a driver. I was okay, cool. So I went, and it happened to be a irrigation supply house, and they also did water features and landscape lighting, and and all sorts of cool stuff like that. And I ended up being a driver for them for just a couple months. Then I moved on to the sales part, and that's how I actually got to introduce to a lot of contractors that came in and got their materials there. And I was like, man, what do you guys do? They're like, man, we do landscape and irrigation. We still cut grass. I'm like, wow. And then that company actually sent me to different schools to go as like landscape architect school, to become irrigation technician, a lighting technician. And they sent me to all these schools. I'm like, man, this is so cool. You guys are I'm learning all the products and all the different vendors and all this stuff. And I'm meeting sales reps and all this stuff. And then, after working there for about 4.5 years, man, I was assistant manager there, and I really got to know the products, very, very well. Even the new ones that no one even knew about. So then I was like, instead of just knowing the products, I never physically knew how to actually install it. So then I joined another company and became a field manager, and actually went and got my hands dirty and, started putting things together and starting to actually see how it was actually working in real life, and seeing it. I was like, oh man, this yard, went from nothing to now, it's got bright green grass and all this stuff. Man, this is awesome, And then, I always want to strive. I always want to move forward. I hate settling. And I was I was still just hungry, I was like, man, I want to learn something else. So then I ended up working for a bigger nationwide company, becoming an account manager. And then that's kind of when I learned the business side of things, and I learned how to account manage and talk to different property managers and management companies, and kind of learn how to bid and learn how to invoice and learn the percentages of profits and how we're going to make sure we're not going to lose money, and even renewing annual contracts that we have with apartment complexes, and I did that for about 1.5 years, and that's kind of when I was like, man, I literally it's a step-by-step process, and I was like, I think I can do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the only thing you had not done at that.
yeah.
All that
It's
I know it all.
And the thing is, I never really I never really knew this was what I wanted to do, but it fell in my lap. But I love taking something that you know, for the customer that they're like, man, this looks awful. Some of this looks shitty, to be honest. And man, you know, a month later, 30-day project, and you turn around and the smile on their face and just like the smile on your face, and it's just like, man, I did
Nothing
this.
better
You
than
know?
a satisfied customer.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like this is awesome, and you know, you did this, and you know, you get your name out there, and you just want to be the best of the best and make people happy, and money's great, you know, as long as you stick with your margins and good percentages, and I mean, dude, that's just kind of how I fell in right now, you know, and you know, I met Abraham, and now hopefully we're gonna be doing some huge things here in Middle Tennessee. So
Well, I feel like y'all are going to be.
yeah, man,
Most important thing is changing people's lives.
Yeah.
People that actually want it.
Yeah.
And I think that's more important than anything else.
Oh,
in
I
life.
agree.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, when you have a happy customer, then word of mouth is the best advertising you can have. Because,
Besides Google, of course.
well, I still say we rely on Google quite a bit, but I still say word of mouth is even better than Google.
Well, especially your closing
It
rate
is, but
is higher with word of mouth.
Of course, 100%.
You don't have as much word of mouth.
I
as
see
Google's reach.
the referrals are just dramatically
Yeah.
dropping year after year, and everyone's just like, "Hey, how'd you find out about us?"
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
99% of the time,
Yeah.
it's not word of mouth anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, almost all of it came from word of mouth
Oh,
or some kind of
well,
yellow pages or something.
And that's frustrating. I mean, you get a customer
Exactly.
who's dissatisfied.
You do all these
They
words.
tell everybody.
They tell that whole neighborhood,
Or that one review, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
You got 5-star reviews, hundreds of 5-star.
Yeah.
Then you got that one.
yeah.
And what are you going to do about it? You can't satisfy everybody.
Yeah,
You
in the
can't.
world.
No, you have the customer who's just ecstatic about the work you've
Yeah.
done, and if you're lucky, they tell someone.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, even just people driving by while you're doing the work, you know, put a sign in the yard. And
That's why
put a sign in the
branding
yard.
is the
Say,
most
hey,
important
what are y'all
thing,
doing?
you know?
Yeah.
How many
You know,
times people
logo
been
your
like, I'm giving
trucks.
them cards.
And
and-
I want to say one thing about branding. I got a good friend of mine, and I don't know if he watches these or not, but he's here in Gladeville. His name is Robert Spickard.
I thought it was Hayes Plumbing Supply.
Oh no, Robert Spickard. He's a blaster. He's probably one of the finest men you'll ever meet in your life, and I look up to the man. He is an awesome person. He told me and my dad years ago, he's like, it don't matter what kind of equipment you have, what kind of trucks you have. He said, keep them neat, keep them clean, and make them look good. He said, that will sell more work for you than anything else. He said, when people drive by, he said, they see your equipment, they see your trucks, and they're presentable, and you look like you're doing a good job and a neat job. He's like, that's going to bring in work. He said, we want to see
100% true.
that.
I agree.
And you know, and Robert's a very smart man, and I look up to him and respect him greatly. And he's been very successful over his career. And I hope he don't mind me calling his name out. I'm sure he don't. He's also a preacher. You know, he's a man of God, and he preaches the gospel each and every day. Like I said, there's not a finer person out there than what you'll find in Robert Spickard. And his son, Robert Jr., is just the same.
Really good.
That's awesome.
Well, guys, I hate to, but we're going to cut this off. We're getting close to our limit. Hey, listen, if y'all are in the Middle Tennessee area, if you're in the Franklin, Arrington, Lever's Fork area, y'all look out for Bloom Landscaping. They'll do you a great job, a good quality job, and I promise you will not be disappointed. And again, for ProfitDig, hit the like, share it button, share it as much as you possibly can. And we got caps, we got visors.
Let us know if you'd like one.
Yeah, and the easiest way to get one is to sign up for ProfitDig.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, again, as always, thank y'all from us at ProfitDig, and thank you guys from Bloom for visiting with us tonight.
We
appreciate
appreciate
we
it.
appreciate it.
You guys
Thank
are
you.
some fantastic guys,
Yeah.
man. We had some
Yeah,
great
thank you guys.
laughs.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
And,
us.
you know, I can't wait to look up your product even
All
more.
right, appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.